first of my build videos on the Tamiya Holiday Buggy on the DT-02 chassis. Today we'll be looking at parts bag A. I'm not sure if we'll get through the whole of it, but we'll see how we go. We're going to ignore step one because that's charging the battery up, and at the moment with the lockdown I've got no chance of getting out. So we're going to kick straight off with step two, the front upper and lower wishbones installation. We start off, and one thing I will note is there are a couple of notes here, is to notice the direction indicator on this part E1, and you should just be able to see a little triangle there. That denotes it goes to the front. So if we align C3 up, that'll go like so. And the other one is not really a note, but just a single word really, telling you to remove these mould tabs. So I just thought I'd show you that. It's a simple case of cutting them off, and then you can either try and tidy those bits up if you haven't got, like me, a pair of flat cutting cutters. But most of the time when I do this, I don't feel I need to trim any of this excess down, so we will just get on, and we start off. I think we'll do the upper one, and it goes in like so. We've got one of these smaller screws, BA5s, or what do they call them, screw pins, that's what they call them. I may have to have a look in some future time to see if I've got any steel hop-ups for this, and we just simply screw it in like so. And again, noting the orientation of parts D1, that will go at the bottom here, and with a longer BA4 pin. And again, it's just a case of getting it through, he says. Easier said than done. There we go. And once again, screwing those in. And a final note before we cut off camera is these are fairly soft. They're not the softest A-arms I've ever had, but they are a bit softer than this sort of shock holder damper stay mount. So I would recommend not over tightening them, because it's very easy to strip the threads. So I'll get those tightened up, get the other two on, and we'll move on to step three. Okay, so step three is making up the front axles, and I've got the parts here, and we do have some parts that are orientated with left and right, mainly because they've already installed the ball joints, so you don't need to put them in, but you do need to make sure that this one's the left one and this one's the right one. And then another note on these B1s is you might be able to see, if I can get it to focus and stuff, that there's a little shape, sort of an ovally shape on the top, and then if we look at the bottom of this one, there isn't. And there's a note just to tell you to make sure that this is orientated at the top, and it's just a simple case of popping it through like so, and then putting it through a BA6 screw pin and screwing it up. And this is the harder plastic, so you theoretically could use a bit more force to tighten it up, or you do actually need to use a bit more force to tighten it up, like so. There we go. and then we just need to do the same for the other side. Step 4 is installing the axles and also this part here, M9, which is the front bumper. So we'll get on. I've already done the left side, and the right side is just a simple case again of taking some BA6 screw pins. I never remember what Tamiya call these. And this feels like one of those cases where it would be easier if you'd got 3 hands, but there we go, they're in. I'll just start them off. And again, they're both screwing into the softer plastic, so don't tighten them too tight. And then we can take the front bumper, and it's not very clear, but I think this fits on. And I think you line it up from memory with these bits here pushed up against the back of this mount, and then you can just line up the screws. And we just carry on until all 4 are screwed in, and then we can move on to the diff. Step 5 is making up the differential gear, and what I'm going to do for this one, for a change, is build it all up, dry fit, just so you can actually see, because the way I normally do it, you can't really see anything. I pack it with so much grease. So we get GB3 and one of the BA2s, the what do they call them? They call them the large bevel gear. I call it a sun gear myself, and it goes in like so. We then get the star shaft, as Tamiya call it, and the 3 small bevel gears, which I call planetary gears, and we pop those on. And then it should, I think it's a bit easy when you put the grease on. Things don't tend to slide off so easily. Yeah, it is actually trickier without the grease. Oh dear. Should have tested this before I started videoing, shouldn't I? There we go. So there you have your planetary gears in, and then your second large bevel gear stroke sun gear goes on, and then you can gently twist it and you can just about see the gears spinning like so. So once you've finished that, you get the top cover, which is GB2, and you've got 3 sticky out bits. I don't know what happens with my words when I'm on camera, but hey, and they slot in to the 3 slots, and then you've got 3 BA10 2.6 10mm screws that just screw in like so. So we'll unpack it all. In fact, that's worked out quite well. If I can pick it up, you can actually see there more how the gears work. So I'll get all the grease slapped on. If we just take this off, I'll put a thin coating on the bottom first before I pop it in, and we can get back when it's all done. Okay, so here's the differential that I've just done, filled and packed with grease. People might not like me doing that, I don't know. I don't know how anybody else does it at the minute, but because it's not going to be that fast a car, I don't mind doing it, and this is just ordinary actual high temperature car grease that I'm using, not Tamiya specific grease or RC specific grease, and I've been using it for years and I've never had any problems. So once it's done, we just push the cap on and then we just put the 3 screws in, and we can swiftly move on. Just before we get into step 6, just a recommendation not to tighten these up too tight, because they're quite a thin self-tapping screw. They can quite easily strip, so just be careful when you tighten these 3 up. So getting on to step 6, we're going to be installing the counter gear into the diff housing, and for this there's a slight change because I've bought the metal ball bearings. So it shows you to grease this BA13 shaft up, but I'm not going to, because it's all going to be run on ball bearings, and they simply slot in, and we can do a similar thing on the other side, and not the tightest of fits, and simply slots through there, and then I believe it goes in here like so. And again, I think I won't grease it all up. I think what I'll do for now, is just grease this thicker bit of the gear up, and then pop it in and grease all this up as and when. So that is step 6. Step 7 is making up the gearbox and installing the diff into it, and it's just a case of joining parts. I think this is A1 with A3 with the differential inside it, and for this we need a couple of bearings. One goes in this side, and it's quite a nice tight fit, and the other one goes in A3, and was a bit easier, but I don't know if you can see there, but I've gone round and greased this side to hopefully seal the sides up so that we don't get too much dust in it. And again, the gearbox or the diff, check the orientation, so we've got the screws showing us going on the outside, so that can just slide in like so. And then I won't do it, but I'll come back to this in a second, and the gearbox housing will go on like so, and then it should just be a case of 4 screws, 1, 2, I think 3 and 4, but I'll show you that after I've greased the diff and finish screwing it all together. Okay, so this is what you should end up with, and I was right, we've got 1 screw there, 1 there, 1 there, if you can see that, and then 1 deep down in that hole there, and that's about at least half of the gearbox made up. There's a few more bits to go on, including the motor, but I think with that, I think I will call it a day and end the video here. So I hope you enjoyed this, and see you on the next one. Cheers, bye.